spent here, it sounds like she made a lot of people happy, which is really, really cool.
When I first moved here, she was the first real friend I had, and there was only the creek that separated us. And we spent every day together, and I remember being at your house and you would say, well, aren't you guys going to get sick of each other? You've been hanging out every day. I'm like, no. I hope not. She was just a really important friend that I had that first year when I moved here. It wasn't easy moving in, but she was there for me. And whenever I had something to say about one of the other girls, like, oh, I don't think they like me, they said this to me, or she would say, oh, you know, she would stick up for them and say, that's just how they are, you'll see, but they, you know, they like you, give them a chance. And she was just always there for me. I used to love knocking on her window whenever I had a problem. She would let me in. It was just a safe place to be. It didn't matter what there was to do, if there wasn't anything fun to do. It was just being there with her was just so comforting and safe. I lost touch with her the past few years too, and I really regret it. I think she was pretty much the best friend anybody could have.
So I don't want to get telling that, but you're best friends also. I think 7th, 8th, 9th grade, I would just show up every Friday afternoon. I wouldn't even ask. I just spent office there. And you know, we would have to sleep in her basement or upstairs, and we had her huge stuffed animals, and Elana always gave up her bed, and she would let us sleep in it. And she was just always there for you. And just one thing, we went to different high schools, but we always stayed in touch, and we would call each other, and I would call her, and she would just be so happy to hear from me, and you know, we would just be so different, and we would just get along all the time. And there's just, she never showed that there were differences. She just made you feel so comfortable with who you were.
I have another thing to say. Kind of what Elana was talking about, how like she'd want to spend that extra hour. I told the right burgers this, but I think it's good enough to share with everyone. That obviously, like we all said, we'd be there every single Shabbos. And you know, on the days when you couldn't sleep over when we were younger, my dad would come pick me up. Or, you know, vice versa. Every single time. And for the life of me, I can't understand what we thought. We would hide me. So I would go in like a closet, or, you know, go downstairs, and I would hear Elana, and I'd be giggling in the closet. She'd be like, Mr. Shulman, I don't know where she is. She just disappeared. And we weren't together because I was hiding, but we just wanted to be there for longer. We just wanted to be together. We didn't want to get pulled apart. Like with Kyle, like we could have spent, since the second Shabbos started to that day, we couldn't bear the thought of being apart. And it reminds me now that like however much time we had together, it was never enough. And I think that's how we all feel now. And just because I read, you know, a lot of things that everyone sent me, I think one of the top couple of things that everyone has said about her is that if you hadn't seen her in a long time, you'd see her and it would be like nothing had changed. And that's really hard. I mean, that's not something that you can have with most anyone. And to have that across the board, almost every single person I talked to that had something to that effect. Like, we lost touch, then we talked, said it was exactly, and I was the most important person, and we were right back where we were. And another thing that everyone highlighted was her generosity, whether it was just of, you know, material things. Oh, that's pretty, have it. Or like, I'll make you one. Or, you know, something like that. Or just her time and of herself. And also, a lot of people aren't generous with their friendship. Like, she wasn't judgmental, and she was very generous of herself. You wouldn't hear her talking bad about people. She was friends with, you know, people. If you would want to say like a mean word, she wouldn't have it. You know, she'd be like, oh, not to chastise you, but be like, no, they're great. You just don't know them well enough. And it made you realize that maybe you weren't looking at it the right way, that she really was. So.
I actually became friends with Lana through Tally, because I was childhood friends with Tali. And in a general sense, when I go around this neighborhood and I see the different places that I used to go as a teenager, she really helped sort of reveal the meaning of this neighborhood to me when I was, a teenager and used to hang out all the time. Whenever I go anywhere here, I think of the time that I spent with her in different places. And in a more specific sense, a specific memory that I have is Tali and I used to, in middle school, we used to write notes to each other. Yeah, I have some too. And then Elana and I started to do it because I became friends with Elana through Tali. And that was a really rough period, middle school, obviously, for a lot of people. So it made the day so much easier to get through when we had that sort of correspondence going on. So I think that's it.
Anybody want to say anything else, or are we good? Want to say something?
Oh yeah.
I just found a note that said
comment
that.
about her